Caitlin Clark, the only WNBA player receiving over 500,000 fan votes for the WNBA All-Star game.
What do you get when fan votes for one player skyrocket from under 100,000 to over 500,000? You get Caitlin Clark completely taking over the 2025 WNBA All-Star voting. But the headline isn't just that Clark is dominating, it's that the Indiana Fever has placed 4 players in the top 10. That's not just impressive, that's a statement. Meanwhile, Angel Reese, the same player who once boldly claimed that fans tune in for her too, isn't even on the radar. Not in the top 10, not close. The 2025 All-Star game is being held in Indianapolis, and the Fever just reminded everyone, this is their territory. They didn't just show up, they owned it. If you're riding with the Fever, this is your call. Cast your All-Star votes and drop Fever Fab Four in the comments. Subscribe to prove your love. Let's rally. Fever fans, Clark fans, every single time you're called on, you answer, not just with words, but with action. Whether it's packing arenas, breaking viewership records, buying the merch, or pushing social media to its limits, you always go the extra mile. And when it's time to give these women the recognition they've earned, you don't hesitate. You make it happen. The Indiana fan base said, "Say no more." And they delivered, loud and clear. Now let's rewind to what All-Star voting used to look like before Caitlin Clark shook the system. Just 2 years back, the WNBA's top names were battling tooth and nail for every vote. It was tight. A few thousand votes here or there could change everything. Fast forward to today, and Clark has not only raised the bar, she's rewritten the whole playbook. She's leading the pack, joined by 3 other Fever stars in the top 10. A result that makes sense, considering the All-Star stage is set in Indiana. But let's give credit where it's due. It looks like a huge chunk of voters made their picks based purely on performance. Now here's the twist. Remember that so-called second most popular player everyone talks about? They're missing in action. Popularity isn't just about headlines, it's about fan response. And the numbers don't lie. To put this into perspective, back in 2023, not a single WNBA player even reached 100,000 votes. The highest totals barely crossed the 50,000 mark, and only 8 players managed that. At the time, those figures were considered strong. Now, Clark just obliterated that ceiling. In just the first round, she racked up 515,993 votes. That's over 5 times more than the entire leading total in 2023. But this isn't just about Clark winning votes. This is about a movement. She didn't just dominate fan voting, she fundamentally changed how fans interact with the league. This year, 19 players have already surpassed the 100,000 vote mark, a milestone nobody reached 2 years ago. The fan base has grown massively. Women's basketball isn't just growing, it's exploding. And Caitlin Clark's influence is at the center of it. Let's break it down. Clark, 515,993 votes. NaLyssa Collier, 485,000. Aliyah Boston, 447,000. All incredible numbers, but only Clark crossed the 500,000 mark. These aren't casual votes. These are from dedicated fans, showing up with intent, passion, and consistency. This surge reflects a shift, a new era where the WNBA is becoming a must-watch league. And Clark? She's not just a star, she's the catalyst. The engagement levels are proof. Women's basketball has officially stepped into the spotlight of mainstream sports. When you compare Caitlin Clark's All-Star voting surge to what's typically seen in major sports leagues, the impact becomes undeniable. Her vote count rivals those of All-Star veterans in leagues that have enjoyed decades of tradition and global fan bases. What takes most athletes years, sometimes even an entire career, to build in terms of loyalty and excitement, Clark has generated in under 2 seasons. NaLyssa Collier lands in second. Aliyah Boston follows in third. Aja Wilson is holding down fourth, with Brianna Stewart right behind her in fifth. Then comes Paige Buchers and Kiki Iriafen, 2 rookies cracking the top 10. Kelsey Mitchell is in 7th, Sabrina Ionescu ranks 8th, and Lexi Hull rounds out the top 9. Let's break that down. 2 rookies in the top 10. 4 players from the Indiana Fever. 2 stars from the Liberty. NaLyssa Collier, arguably the most complete player in the league right now. Aja Wilson, whose fan base continues to show up and show out. NaLyssa's total, 484,758 votes, a number that just 2 years ago would have blown away the WNBA's all-time voting records. Now, it's only second place. That tells you everything you need to know about how Clark has completely reshaped the voting landscape. Every name in this year's top 10 has fan vote numbers that would have topped the charts in any previous year. And that's the point. Clark hasn't just elevated herself, she's pulled the entire league upward. Still think it's just hype? Her stats prove otherwise. 19.9 points and 8.7 assists per game. She's backing up the buzz with big-time production. This isn't about lingering college fame. It's about consistent performance, elite playmaking, and undeniable leadership on the court. Wherever Clark goes, attention follows. TV ratings spike. Arena seats fill. Ticket prices surge. She's delivering more than highlights. She's delivering results the WNBA has never seen before. But here's where things get interesting. Not every fan base is showing up for their star. Not every support squad is backing their player when it really matters. Caitlin Clark passed 500,000 votes. Aliyah Boston's right behind her. And when you scroll further down the list, Kelsey Plum is there. Satou Sabally too. And then, Angel Reese at number 13. When it comes to fan voting in the WNBA, the so-called Reese's Pieces seem to make more noise on social media than in actual ballots. There's a lot of typing, but not nearly enough voting. In fact, the entire voting infrastructure had to scale up to handle the huge spike in participation this year. That's how massive the Caitlin Clark effect has been. She didn't just shake the system, she forced it to evolve. The system that once handled 50,000 votes without a hitch suddenly had to cope with numbers 10 times that size. Caitlin Clark's overwhelming popularity didn't just shake things up. It forced the WNBA to upgrade its entire fan engagement platform. Her record-shattering vote count isn't just a personal victory. It signals a seismic shift in what star power means in the WNBA. Clark hasn't just raised the bar, she's rewritten the rulebook. From this point forward, WNBA All-Star voting won't be measured by past years. It'll be judged against what Caitlin did this season. She didn't just break records, she built a brand new measuring stick. And this fan frenzy didn't just elevate Clark, it lifted her entire team, the Indiana Fever, to historic heights. For the second straight year, Clark topped fan voting. She was second in the early counts in 2024, but rocketed to number 1 with nearly 700,000 total votes. Now the question is, will she hit 1 million this year? Based on early trends, it's looking very possible. One user online even pointed out that this year's numbers are already ahead of where they were at this time last season. But here's where things really get fascinating. Can one superstar carry an entire franchise into all-star territory? In Indiana, the answer was a resounding yes. Traditionally, all-star votes are spread across various teams in big market cities. Powerhouses like Las Vegas, New York, and Seattle dominate, and smaller market teams are lucky to get 1 player on the board. 2 is rare. 3? Almost unheard of. But 4 players from 1 team in the top 10? That's never happened. Until now. On the left side of your screen, the 2025 numbers. On the right, 2024's results. What you'll notice is a massive shift. For example, Arike Ogunbowale, once a top 5 vote-getter, slid all the way down to 34th. The illusion is gone. Arike, the fans figured it out. The big question was, would Clark's popularity benefit her teammates? Would fans vote for the team or just the superstar? In the early rounds, that was unclear. But when the final results dropped, they shocked everyone. Aliyah Boston came in 3rd overall, not 5th or 6th, where people expected her. Her 361,018 votes would have won the top spot in previous seasons. She's not just catching Clark's wave, she's earning her spot with elite play and real fan love. Kelsey Mitchell pulled in 277,000 votes, and then there's Lexi Hull with 217,000, followed by Kiki Iriafen at 213,500. A rookie averaging a double-double with solid shooting efficiency. Mitchell also secured 7th place with 198,471 votes, proving why she's long been one of the league's most consistent scorers. She's averaging 17.6 points per game, and fans are finally showing appreciation for that veteran leadership. Then you've got Lexi Hull at 9th place with 161,832 votes. Hull doesn't fill up the scoreboard, but her hustle, IQ, and team-first mentality are impossible to miss. Her inclusion proves that fans are paying attention, not just to stats, but to the intangibles that make the Fever a real contender. This kind of domination, 4 players from the same team in the top 10, is unprecedented. Most franchises are thrilled if they get one All-Star. The Fever just grabbed almost half the top 10. This isn't just a fan vote, it's a franchise statement. Clark, Boston, Mitchell, and Hull didn't just ride a wave, they created one. Compared to other teams, Las Vegas placed 2 players, New York managed 2. Everyone else, 1 or none. Indiana didn't just show up, they took over. This tells you everything about their team chemistry. These 4 train together, grind together, and trust each other on and off the court. Fans aren't just voting for individuals, they're voting for culture. They see what's happening in Indiana and they believe in it. Clark opened the door. Boston, Mitchell, and Hull walked through it. The Fever didn't just have a successful All-Star push, they pulled off a total voting revolution. They've turned team chemistry and fan passion into All-Star dominance. And here's a wild stat to cap it off. Caitlin Clark earned 3 times more votes than Angel Reese. That's not a jab, it's just numbers. As for Sophie Cunningham, rumor has it she moved serious merch. Nearly $1 million in jersey sales with 12,000 orders in a single day, causing system overloads and drama inside the Fever's infrastructure. Meanwhile, some fans, let's call them the slows, are upset that Sophie even made the list. But guess what? The fans decided. And finally, here's the poetic twist. The 2025 WNBA All-Star Game is being hosted in Indianapolis, at Gainbridge Fieldhouse, the same arena where the Indiana Fever just flexed harder than any other team in the league. 4 players from the same team in the top 10 of All-Star voting? You couldn't script a better home court setup. Most host cities for All-Star games struggle just to get 1 player selected. Votes scatter across markets and fan bases, and home teams usually end up watching visiting stars get all the love. Their own players often watch the game from the sidelines, or worse, from home. That's what happens when you don't have a true superstar to ignite the fan base. But what if the host team doesn't just show up in the voting? What if they completely dominate it? That's exactly what the Indiana Fever just did. They turned the 2025 All-Star Game into something the WNBA has never seen before. On July 19th at Gainbridge Fieldhouse, 4 Fever players, Clark, Boston, Mitchell, and Hull, will step onto their home court wearing All-Star jerseys. This won't feel like a regular exhibition. It'll feel like a playoff game in July. The atmosphere, electric, the crowd, all in,